Okay, now we're going to continue on with volume. Now, see, if you're paying attention, this is following the same order as SI. With SI, we looked at length, then we looked at area, then volume, and now we're in Imperial, and we did a lot of work with length, and then we went on to area. Now we're on to volume. The nice part about this is, I mean, just like last time, the content essentially is in place. We know what volume is. Now it's just using different units and solving the problem. Again, as you do this, you should have your conversion factor sheet with you. And we'll go from there. Please remember what volume stands for. Volume is the amount of, let's say, how much can fit into something. So if you remember that I used a can of Coke, for example. The general formula for volume of a cube, which we're looking at right now, it'll become more intricate in the next unit, but for right now we're looking at length times width times height. It is a three-dimensional object. So, and I know this is SI, I'm just going back. This was 5 centimeters, 5 centimeters. Now that's just area. But as soon as you add that one extra dimension, length, width, and height or depth or whatever the heck you want to call it, that now is 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. That would be centimeters. And we have 3 dimensions, so cubed. Anyway, that's with SI, but the lesson remains just about the same here for Imperial, just different units and kind of have to watch what's going on. Different types of Imperial volume. You have cubic feet, you have cubic inch, and a cubic yard. I don't really think I need to go too much into this. You know, a cubic inch, that would be kind of this one right here, where every side on that is going to be one inch. A cubic foot, well, that would be your length is 1 foot, your width is 1 foot, and your height is 1 foot. The cubic yard would be about the same. It'd be your length would be 1 yard, your width would be 1 yard, and your height would be 1 yard. It's all the same. Anyway, we'll just do some simple calculations here, and then we'll let you have some practice. This one says, how many cubic feet are in a cubic yard? Well, I mean, you can always, if you want, you can go onto your formula sheet, and you can look for volume. So this one's talking about cubic feet to cubic yards, and by all means, there's various ways of figuring this out. On the conversion factor sheet, I do find there is one value. It says 1 yard cubed is equal to 27 feet cubed. Okay, fair enough. So what do we have here? I mean, this appears to be 1 yard in each direction. So how would you figure out the volume of that cube? So this is just, let's put that aside for a second. Just this part, I mean. So now, volume is length, width, and height. So this is like saying 1 yard times 1 yard times 1 yard. That would be 1 yard. And how many dimensions? 1, 2, 3. Well, I don't think I really have too much more to do here because I don't even have to do a conversion because it says I have 1 yard cubed. Well, right away, I know from this that if I have 1 yard cubed, I have 27 feet squared. So it's 27 feet squared, or feet cubed, I'm sorry. There is another way of doing this, and I'm just going to show you. By all means, you can look at this or not. You see, I know that each side of this is 1 yard. If you look on your conversion sheet under length for Imperial, it says 1 yard is 3 feet. So I know that this right here is 3 feet. And I know that this is 3 feet. And I know that this is 3 feet. Well, by default, volume, length, width, height, that's 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. Well, same thing, 27 feet cubed. It's interesting, you know, I suppose there are, in some of these questions, you know, 1 or 2 ways of getting there. And I remember when I was in school that often would, you know, I'd find that overwhelming. I don't want you to, you know, get discouraged by that. What you should do is, when you watch this, you know, by all means, you can watch both of these. And then maybe say to yourself, well, one makes more sense than the other, and commit to that strategy. And typically that strategy will get you through most of these. And then obviously the more practice you get, the better. But I show you both ways not to confuse you, but it's because I'm not in front of you and I don't know you. So if I knew you and I knew your strengths and your weaknesses or whatever, I could show you what works best for you, but I can't. So I figure my best bet is to show two ways sometimes and leave it up to you and whoever you're working with to kind of figure out, what's best for you. Okay, let's move on to the next question. It says here, how many cubic inches are in a cubic foot? Well, there's different ways of doing this too. Let's see here. Do we have a volume? Cubic inches. Yeah, you see, we have this as well. I mean, again, I can do this in two ways. It says on our conversion factor sheet under Imperial, it says 1 foot cubed is equal to 1,728 inches cubed. Well, if you look at this, everybody, I mean, this is 1 foot. So we know the volume here. The volume here is length, width, and height. So that's like, when I say 1 foot times 1 foot times 1 foot. Well, that's 1 foot cubed. So if you wanted to know me, you don't have to do too much else here. If you want to know me cubic inches, well, we know from right here. If you have exactly 1 foot cubed, you have 1,728 inches cubed. That's one way of doing this. If you want to know the second way, you could have just taken this and changed it. I mean, we know each of these sides is 1 foot. Well, how many inches is that? That means this is 12 inches, 12 inches, and 12 inches. Well, you could have just gone volume equals length, width, height, 12 inches times 12 inches times 12 inches. Exact same thing, everybody, 1,728 inches cubed. Nonetheless, I think we can all admit at least these values are appearing on our conversion factor sheet, and that will allow you to get through most of these questions. This one here, at first I couldn't figure out why I couldn't do it, but because I had to give you the measurements. This right here is 9 inches. Okay, that's going to be the length. The width right here is going to be 4 inches, and the height is going to be 3 inches. The question says here, what is the volume of the box in cubic inches? Oh, and then in cubic feet. Well, okay, the inches part is easy. We'll do inches first. So volume is length, width, height. So 9 inches times 4 inches times 3 inches. And that's going to give us 108 inches cubed. No big deal. Now we do have to put this into feet cubed. Now, do we have a conversion factor there? Let's see. Actually, we do, everybody. We know exactly. If you look there, it says 1 foot cubed is 1,728. And that's just from above. So let's go for it. So let's do our equal proportion. So we know 1 foot cubed is equal to 1,728 inches cubed. There's our proportion. Inches cubed are on the bottom left. They'll be on the bottom right then. This is going to be a small answer, I think. Do your diagonal crisscrosses. The crisscross with both numbers is the 1 and the 108. So if you multiply that, you'll get 108. Then go 108 divided by the number that was not involved. Yikes, that gives you a bit of a small number. That should give you 0.0625 feet cubed, or cubed feet. I think what you're finding here is, whether I'm throwing length at you or volume or area, the calculations are not really becoming any more difficult. It's just trying to keep it straight in your head. You want to know when you're dealing with area, when you're dealing with volume, why one has a squared, why one has a cubed. But I don't think the math is going to trick you anymore. Let's do one more. Okay, Chuck ordered 4 cubic yards of soil. How many cubic feet of soil? Okay, so we want to go from yards cubed to feet cubed. I mean, no big deal. Do we have that? Feet? Yeah, we have that again. If you look on your conversion factor sheet, we know that 1 yard cubed is equal to 27 feet cubed. Now, I think we figured that out a few pages back already. Anyway, we'll put that into our proportion ratio here, 27 feet cubed. 4 yards. Yards top left, so it'll be top right. Cross multiply and divide. You would go 27 times 4. and then divide by 1. That's going to give you, let's see here, 108 feet cubed. There you go, everybody. I mean, as long as you're following these examples, you should have no problem with the practice. Please give those a try. Remember to really pay attention to the answer key, and really pay attention if you get something wrong and try to figure out why, and that's when you have to seek out help. Nonetheless, we'll move on, and we're getting towards the end.